The Together Tree, written by Aisha Saeed and illustrated by Caldecott Honor winner Layuen Pham. I love the tree in the front, and I like the tree in the back with all the hearts around it. That's kind of cool. The end pages are very pretty. They start with a black and white illustration, and then they add some color, black and gray color, and then it turns into green. This book was published in 2023 by Salam Reads, and it looks like it takes place at a school, and probably at the wintertime right here. We have some snow on top of the roof and on the ground. Rumi joined Miss Garza's class on the first warm day of spring. Icicles melted from the trees, water dripped from the eaves, droplets trailed down the windows. Rumi is from San Francisco, Ms. Garza said, on the other side of the country. Let's make him feel at home. Rumi got the best seat in the class, next to the class hamster Waffles and Lolo the goldfish. The kids stared at Rumi, but Rumi stared out the window. He doesn't look too happy to be at school. It's hard to move to a new school. At recess, the grass looked so green against the sky full of sunshine and blue. Ella raced down the slide. Asher played tag with Han. Rumi twirled a twig beneath a shady old willow tree. When he heard a laugh, he looked up. 3 kids stood by the swings. His shoes are ugly, Asher said, laughing. And big, Ella giggled. The laces are untied, too. Han didn't think it was funny, but he didn't say a word. Rumi looked down at his shoes. He'd colored them with friends back home, where the cypress trees grew and the fog rolled deep. Back home they played kickball. Back home they built sandcastles. But things were different now. He twirled his twig beneath the shady old willow tree, and something began to hurt. He looks like he's a very good artist. He's drawing a lot of things with that twig. In music class later that week, when Mr. Simon played the flute, Asher crumbled and tossed a paper. It landed on Rumi's shoe. When Ella saw, she smiled and giggled. Han simply stared. Rumi studied his shoes, the painted cars, rainbow, and balloons. He tried his best not to cry. The next day at recess, Ella skipped. Asher ran. Han crossed the monkey bars. And Rumi stayed alone, by himself, twirling a twig beneath the shady old willow tree. Then Asher picked up a pebble. He flung it in the air. It flew, it spun, it sputtered. It scraped against Rumi's knee. This time Ella didn't giggle. Everyone stood still. And Rumi felt something salty and wet. A tear slide down his cheek. Rumi, Han called out. I was wondering if it was okay if I could play with you. And that's when Han looked down and saw that what Rumi was doing with his twig. He was drawing a beautiful world out of dirt. At the end of class that day, Asher slipped Rumi a note. I'm sorry. I hope you are okay. The next day, Han and Rumi drew together, building butterflies and castles from dirt. Ella asked to play. Connor and Devin did too. Sure, Rumi said, and soon everyone joined in. Everyone except Asher. He had wandered back to class. Rumi watched him through the window where he had a pile of blocks on his desk. And then he looked at the kids, his brand new friends in his brand new city, and said, "Let's all go inside, too." It looks like they all went inside and they wanted Asher to join them, even though he was kind of mean to Rumi at first. Together they ate lunch the next day, and later at recess they played all together beneath the shady old willow tree. In the author's note, the author shares a story about her son having the same thing happen to him when he was in kindergarten. Some of the kids started being mean to him and bullying him because of the color of his skin, and they didn't want to play with him. And he didn't really care for school anymore. He stopped going to recess, and he just would sit underneath a big shade tree and twirl a stick on the ground. But then other kids were concerned about it. They were upset to see what was happening. And one by one, the kids came. They went to either tell an adult, or they decided to go and simply be his friend and remind him that he wasn't alone. So in this story, she drew a tree with its branches spreading far and wide, providing shade and a safe shared place for children to come together. A picture of the author, Ayesha Saeed. She lives in Georgia with her family. And on the bottom is Layuen Pham. She lives with her husband and two sons in Los Angeles.